So far, we've covered symbiotic intelligence concept, as well as human organoids research, among many other topics in this channel. And today, we're going to talk about both symbiotic intelligence as well as human organoids to discuss their differences as well as their similarities and why it matters. That's what we're going to cover in this video. Let's refresh our memories first regarding symbiotic intelligence. And this is the concept where we discuss the fusion and inception of the human intelligence at the electrical and wave-like level onto the AI neural systems. In other words, where the analog information transfer meets the digital information transfer. Analog being the human component of information transfer, digital being the computer and machine component of information transfer that happens within AI neural networks and the future of robotics. The main concept and overarching vision of the symbiotic intelligence is to gather information transfer from the human body, be it the human brain or human cells, via non-invasive wearables, and have that as an additional data points onto feeding the artificial neural networks and robotics in the future systems, future building system. And the reason that is important is because the way in which the human brain as well as the human cells transfer, exchange, and make sense of different information within the body as well as within the brain is already a miraculous way in which information is not only transferred but also interpreted. So here, gathering these electrical activities from the brain cells as well as from the cells of humans, adding them as additional data points into the future of AI systems as robotic systems could be a very valuable way in which these machines can learn from the way in which the data and information is transferred, processed, and communicated and interpreted within the human body and the human. Now let's review the human organoids that is being researched and built, for example, in Indiana University, as we talked last time. Here, the difference is that the researchers are building human organoids in lab to help with the computation of, for example, neural networks work. For example, the way in which brain cells already are so efficient in using energy and computing information is something that is being explored in these labs, where brain organoids are being built such that in the future they could potentially be implemented in machines, so that the machines will be much more efficient when they process information, whatever that information process may be. Meaning to say that when building these human organoids, AI is partially built from biological components, aka organoids, and the biological system itself is doing the computation, not just supporting the data. Instead of just influencing AI, biological intelligence is directly integrated into AI processing, making AI biological driven. Now, what are the main differences between symbiotic intelligence concept in comparison to the human organoids? The main difference is that in symbiotic intelligence, the machines are being human aware. We are making the machines aware of the humans, and we're also giving the machines, at least the concept is as such, the ability to utilize and learn from how the neurons and the cells of humans already process interpret, and transfer information. Whereas in human organoids, the effort here is to make AI biological driven. In short, this symbiotic intelligence makes AI more human aware, utilizing the way in which the neurons and the cells of humans interpret, translate, and process information. Whereas in human organoids, their approach is to make AI more biologically driven. Essentially, it's not about which approach is better. They both compromise and complete each other. It's just that there's a very delicate difference between the two, both of which are very important, and eventually they could potentially complement each other. For example, the symbiotic intelligence work is immediately applicable because AI and also robotics can already process biosignal information to improve adaptability and responsiveness to human states. So it has a very practical approach in terms of also helping in decision making and cognitive processes and so forth. On the other hand, the human organoids work is more experimental and it's more long term, where it aims to create new forms of computation that mimics the biological intelligence. While these advances are extremely promising, it's still not fully developed yet, and it's still in its very early stage of development. Now, how would a combination of symbiotic intelligence and human organoids potentially look like in the future if they were to be combined? In that case, the combination of it would be that we would have an AI system as well as robotic systems that they both understand human biosignals, as well as using the biological intelligence for computing, making AI and robotics more intuitive, efficient, and symbiotic with the human cognition. That would be one possible outcome, but of course there are many different other outcomes as well. For example, imagine robots where the brain organoids act as part of its computing system, helping process information in more efficient, energy efficient way, and as well as in a more adaptive way to humans, while still being integrated with traditional AI and robotics and digital components. For example, in today's world, the AI powered robots are very silicon based in terms of their processing. However, in the human organoids version, as well as the symbiotic intelligence version, you will have an additional biosignals and biocomputing efforts and concepts and processes added to these future of AI and robots as well, which then in turn helps the robots as well as future of AI to learn and adapt more like a human, process data much more energy efficient, and also respond much more fluidly to complex as well as unstructured problems, the way in which we humans are already doing without any effort and without us even thinking about it. In other words, in the future, if we were to combine the symbiotic intelligence with human organoids, we would potentially have AI as well as robots that have a very, very much like human-like components within them, both in terms of them processing energy as well as processing information. In this case, the future of robots could evolve to a point where they don't just rely on pre-programmed responses or external sensors, but can interpret human intentions, emotions, and thoughts in real time by reading biofeedback, for example, EEG, aka brainwaves, heart rate variability, or even other types of brain activity. Because in this sense, the concept of the symbiotic intelligence is such that you gather real-time biosignal information via these non-invasive wearables from humans and give it that as data inputs in real time to this future of AI and robots. And so as a result, these symbiotic AI systems could be potentially in the future robots that are have a very seamless interaction with the humans in their working, and also it is as if they're kind of can read the mind of humans, but not in a creepy way, but in a way to make the interaction much more seamless in order to help empower humans. As always, there is an ethics components into all of this. The reason we don't talk about it is because those ethics are extremely important, but they usually we can make a whole other video from them, and so as a result we don't discuss them every time in every single video. And so a combination of symbiotic intelligence as well as having human organoids would definitely help create an interaction with these robots in the future where, as I mentioned, the interaction is extremely seamless, but also these robots are beyond rigid. They're able to more or less act like humans, especially if they interact and bump into problems that they never conceived prior to that. And so their responses is much more fluid, exactly like humans, but hopefully with less human errors involved. Because the idea here is that they are gathering information from humans in real time, but at the same time their own components is built up and made up of human organoids that are cells and neurons that are built in labs. So the symbiotic intelligence book turned out to be too big for people to read, and so which was published last year. But this year my intention is to publish a follow-up edition where I make this half of its size, because right now it's 600 plus pages. The goal here is to have a condensed version, around 350 pages, so it makes it much digestible and much readable for the readers, and that will be coming for those interested. This book also explains and talks about how do we go from a digital world into an analog world and vice versa, because the way in which communication information is transferred and communicated within biological systems, mostly it's analog unless you go down to the DNA level, whereas in machines the information transfer is mostly digital. And so if you want to combine and have a symbiotic intelligence between humans and machines, you do need to think about the digital way in which information is transferred and communicated versus the analog way, and how they two interact. And this book also covers that. There is a whole chapter that is dedicated to digital versus analog type of computation, as well as other topics, of course. All right, guys, that's all I had for today. As always, if you like this content, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.